The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to the Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations. That's forming a
Good evening. This is Lowe's Moore, and welcome back to the Blueprint, man. Let me tell you something. I'm really excited tonight. I guess I say that every week, man. I'm excited every week because if I was doing it every single day, I haven't imagined that yet, but I don't know how excited I would be if it was every day. But when you got a week to gear up for the next show and do your research and kind of meditate on things that you would like to happen, and things you would like to say and questions you would like to ask. Yeah, it's just a build up. I was thinking about, like, man, when I was playing basketball, man, I could never wait for the game. I always wish that the game was every single day, man, because I would just get pumped up. Sometimes it's get hard to get motivated because of practice, because like Allen Iverson said, it's just practice. But really, it's not just practice. It's where we prepare. It's the preparation. When I was a little kid at the boys club playing basketball, one of our favorite sayings was, we used to put our hands in, and the coach would say, power check. And we would say, right on, power check, right on, power check, right on. And then he would say, what do we have? And we say, we have the will to win, right? And we knew that the will to win was not nearly as important as preparing. Preparation is key to success. If there's no preparation, there is no success. So, all throughout the week, you're preparing for this opportunity, this show, to be able to be a help to somebody, or support to somebody, to encourage somebody during this time. And so as we get started in my intro, right, just want to talk, here is my pebble, right? I'm about to drop it in the pond, right? Which is, of course, on my floor, but I'm going to drop it in the pond because we're expecting a ripple effect from every show, from every guest, from every word that said. We want to expect a ripple effect. That's when you drop a pebble in the pond, you see those little waves going across the pond. You don't know where those waves are going to end, right? And we do not know that the impact of this show, right, and where it's going to end. Because check this out. Sometimes, I could be walking, going out for my walk, and somebody would say to me as I'm walking, they would recognize, because most of the time I don't have my mask unless I see somebody or I'm near somebody, I'll get in the crowd. So I'm just walking, so people recognize you. So they say to me, man, it was a great show last night, man. And this was said, right? So you just don't know. Or someone who texts me from California, from Pennsylvania, and said, man, the guy last night, or the guy last week, or the young lady the other week said something, man, that was so profound. It was, and you just never know how far the ripple effect goes. So I just want to say tonight, this is going to be, how would I say this? This is going to be an important show. All of them are important, but this is going to be an important conversation tonight. Because I believe, like myself, even though I'm getting older, I'm evolving, I'm growing. And you heard me say last week, there is no such thing as a finish line, right? When you finish one thing, there's something else to start. And so I was thinking about my past when it comes to the topic we're going to share tonight, and we're going to have a conversation about and a discussion about, was back in the day when I was playing basketball, from the college level to the professional level. Each year, I was trying to find something new to make me better. a better exercise, better way of lifting weights, a better way to play the game, um, better how to be a better person each and every single day, how to have a better attitude, better character. And, it was interesting. I like reading, and I'm going to give you the book of the week shortly. And I like reading, but something about this show and this topic sparked something in me. And I remember, like, because sometimes people come up to you and they say something to you, or you pick up a book, whether it's in the library or in the store, or you pick up that book and you don't know, sometimes it may be a seed. Right now, as you know, if you put a seed in the ground, in order for it to grow, you gotta water it, right? And so a seed was planted a long time ago. I picked up a book, Martina Navratilova, I mean, one of the great Czech but professional tennis players, and I picked up the book, and she was talking about, now that Chris Everett, kind of the darling of tennis back in the day, very petite, and played a finesse game, where Martina Navratilova was kind of a little bit more muscular, a little bit more stockier, played with a lot of power. Just two different types of tennis players. And I think as Martina went along in her career, she started to think about longevity. How long can I play this game? Because if you played sports, eventually your body starts to wear down, it starts to give out. And Martina Navratilova, she started to think about, like, okay, what can I do to get better? How can I continue to be in the type of shape and play at the highest level that I could play at? And she did a book with a gentleman called Eat to Live, right? And she said, look, hey, a lot of people like to eat stuff, right? And they but they're not eating to live. They're just eating. And sometimes the things you eat don't cause for you not to continue to live. You start a dying process rather than a living process. But I picked up the book. I bought the book. Literally, I looked in the book, and I started looking at what she was eating for breakfast, and some rye bread, some rye toast, like nothing. I was like, there's no way I can do this. I looked at the lunch, and she was eating like a little bird, and but she was thinking about eating to live rather than just eating to eat, right? Just because it was good, just because it was tasty. And it doesn't mean that the food that she was eating wasn't tasty. That was just my perception. And I look at Martina Navratilova now, who's still competing, right? I think Martina has to be, I don't know, either late 50s, early 60s. And it wasn't too long ago, maybe about 5 years ago, I went up to Yale University, and they had the Point Pilot tennis tournament up there. And she was still competing against some young girls, young ladies out there, and just winning games. And so this topic tonight is sparking something in me, of a seed that was sown a while ago, right? And you never know that when people say things to you, let me give you because I got a scripture for this. I mean, I definitely got a scripture for it. It says here, it's in First Corinthians in the 3rd chapter, NIV. It said, I planted the seed, Apollo watered it, but God makes it grow. So neither he that planteth nor he that watereth is anything, but only God. It says, who has made things grow. So the man who planteth and the man who watereth have one purpose, and each will receive their reward according to their own labor. Right. So it's one man plant, another man pour. So somebody says something to you, they plant a seed. You haven't heard it before, but they plant a seed. Right. And then somebody has to come behind you and keep watering it. Keep saying, eat good food. Nutrition is good. This is bad. And they water until you get increase, until you come to the knowledge that you need to change that thing. So one man planteth, another man poureth, but only God gives increase. Or our responsibility is that we can't be God, but we can be a seed planter, or we can be a waterer. And that's it. And that's an important responsibility. So tonight we're going to plant a seed, right? And hopefully somebody else will water it. I mean, here it is. Martina Navratilova in her book, Eat to Live, was planted a long time ago, right? And a lot of people have been watering it because each and every week in my family, they have vegan night in my family. Well, they had vegan night. I always say they had vegan night because they they every Wednesday they would eat vegan food, and then I would eat, my sandwich or whatever it is that would go out and get. But they would eat it every week. And then I got a call from one of my good friends out in California, Rudy Hackett, and he was talking about what he had discovered was that in training athletes, professional college and professional athletes, he realized that the advantage that he gave his athletes was not just in the play and the conditioning and the strength training, but it was in the food. And that his athletes were becoming far more superior athletes, players, not just athletes, but players, because not only because of the workout, but because of what they ate. And so it intrigued me. And he asked me to take a look at Netflix Game Changers, and of course I did. And since then I've taken a look at it at least 3 or 4 times. But we're going to get more into this into this subject a little bit later. But now let me get to my book of the week. All right. And this week's book is The Forks Over the Knife Plan, right? Fork over the Knife's plan. I mean, it's a good book to get, right? If you're transitioning from, one lifestyle to another lifestyle, it is a very good book to get. I think I have it on my phone now, and I'm going to be checking it out. And you're going to hear more about why we need from fork over knives. The fork over knives. We're going to hear more about that as we go along. And then the word of the week is lifestyle, right? As you know, lifestyle is so important, right? And you can see the rich colors that are behind that word lifestyle, right? And I'm in the process of changing my lifestyle. So, that's a key word. Lifestyle is key. What is your lifestyle like? And then, over the next few weeks, this one affirmation, the Pierce Harper affirmation moment and quote. Bob Proctor, I've been quoting him, for most of this month and a little bit of last month. But I'm going to say one of these quotes, and then I'm going to use them as we move forward in the coming weeks. So it says here, a daily affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that the universe wants me to live a rich and abundant life, and it will support me and make this a reality. Man, it says that when you focus on what you want, that the universe, which means God, is going to work with you to make that thing a reality. I like that. And if you wake up every morning and realize that God wants to make you being rich or wealthy, right, or successful and healthy, wants to make it a reality every day, right? You have to speak that into existence, not just talk about it, but you got to speak it, and then you got to live it. So that's the affirmation for this week. And then, man, we get to our music, right? Our music and movie. And check this out. This was one of my longtime favorite. I don't know, a whole bunch of you guys out there. George Benson was the man back in the day. I believe George Benson is still the man. I got this album in my list, Breezin' by George Benson. Man, that's an all-time classic. Man, nothing's more powerful and relaxing as hearing George Benson play that guitar and that silky smooth voice, right? And then the movie of the week is Game Changers. Game Changers. And then we're going to hear a little bit more about Game Changers. It's on Netflix. If you don't get a chance, go to Netflix, check it out. And then next week, if you check it out this week, next week, I'm going to have another guest, right? And then put it in the comments of what you thought about Game Changers. And so now I want to do a few shout outs, right? First of all, I want to shout out to my dad, Lowesmore Sr. I want to wish him a heavenly birthday. Man, he's been going a little while now, but we still want to remember, because the key is remembering those that we love, right? And, as far as I'm concerned, he's still with me in my spirit. He gave me birth, and that's powerful all by itself. So I want to say happy heavenly birthday. And then, of course, my granddaughter, Amaya, I think it was November the 2nd, right? Amaya's birthday was November the 2nd. Man, happy birthday, Amaya. She's just growing and growing. The other day, she said to me, she said, Pop, I was just flicking through the channels and she saw this thing called Ninja Juniors. I know you guys know that, man. Ninja Juniors. And she was just like, man, I want to do that. I was like, oh, she was just twirling all around my head, all around my legs, trying to be a Ninja Junior, be in the competition. I think she has the ability to do it, right? And wow. So I don't know, but I'm still excited tonight because, man, you guys, I don't know if you knew this or not. Some of you probably do, but I became a grandparent again. Me and my wife became grandparents. Right. And then we got Jade. Look at it. There go Jade, Riley, Jean Johnson. Right. And then we got Hartley, Willow, Maynard. Right. One came on Friday and one came on Monday. And Monday was my father's birthday on November the 1st. Man, we welcome these two shining stars. Right. There goes mom and dad right there. Man, they happy. Man, I'm happy. They're healthy, right? Everybody's healthy, and I thank God for them, man. Now, I say we have 4, but I gotta correct it because we still have Omar. Man, my son Omar has 3 kids, so we say 4. I say it's 7. He got 4 kids. Omar got 4 kids, and he got a grandchild. Wow. They just keep adding up, man. I'm gonna catch up with my mother sooner or later, Yeah, man. But we welcome them, man. We excited about this, and man, love you guys, man. So, and looking forward to next week. We got the week after that. That's November 21st. We got Hill Harper. We're gonna be talking building wealth, and then next week we got Ron the Grill Flemings. Who's coming next week, and we're gonna talk old times in Mount Vernon, man. It's gonna be an awesome time. So let's get with it. Let's get with it. I want to show you this. I want to show you this first video, and it's kind of like an introduction to Game Changers. So if you want to check out Game Changers, here's a little introduction to it, and then I'm going to show something on my guest, and I'm going to introduce her, and we're going to be right in the flow.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials.
Steak,
That's what a man eats.
Selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
I've been teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then I got injured. Unable to teach for at least 6 months, I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
When I went plant-based, I wasn't sure if I was gonna survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood.
Sam. I think this is going to wake a lot of people up.
I was recovering better, not getting as sore. This was our best season in the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based diets.
We all want to feel great, have more energy.
Cholesterol was 276. Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
Wow. Yeah. We about to get into this. Yeah, we're about to get into this, but just before then, we got one more video. One more video for our guests tonight, and we're gonna jump right into this.
Mount Vernon resident, homeowner, school board trustee member. My husband and I have 7 children, 5 daughters, and 2 sons. This is my very first time. 3 of my children are here, and when my name was called, they said, Mom? I said, yes. My poem, May the Life I Live. May the life I live be not in vain. May I help someone along the way, that when I'm gone, they will remember my name. But may it not be for fame or riches, but may it be because the life I live was not in vain. Thank you.
Awesome. That's Brenda L Crump. Yeah. May the life I live.
Oh my God.
Speak for me. I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, we got to show that one right there. Yeah, that was powerful all by itself. Hello, wow. Brenda, how you doing?
Oh my God, I am well. Y'all snuck that one in on me. Yeah, I'm like, what is he going to show? Wow.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I enjoyed that. May the life I live
be not in vain.
Yeah, I like that. So Brenda, whew.
Wow.
Before we jump into this,
I need some tissues. You're gonna have me starting out with tissues.
Oh man, yeah. Before we jump into this plant-based lifestyle, I want to know a little bit about who is Brenda L Crump. How did it all start? You know, and around family, education, faith.
Okay, well, it all started one day when Mr. Crump asked me to marry him. my late husband, Mr. Crump. We were married 29 years, 29 years of marriage. He passed September 27th of 2019. And that's my father. So the two most important men here on earth to me are gone physically, but they're here in spirit. So, my husband and I, as you heard me say when I was doing the poetry night, we have 7 children, 5 daughters and 2 sons. And I guess I kind of roll from the top, because you kind of go from the top to the old. Oh, wow. They're pulling out all the old school pictures. That is my favorite portrait. That's my favorite family pic there. I mean, that's the whole clan right there. That's everybody. We used to go up in the school and people said we have enough for a baseball team and whatever other kind of team. But that's the family there. So, we have those Lumi Wild, and I'm just going to say her birth name, aka Brenda Crump, but she changed the name to Lumi Wild. And we have Vanessa Crump, and actually Lumi Wild is in Colorado. And you see how parents do? You ask about me, and then I start telling you about my children.
Yeah.
So that's Lumi Wild. Lumi used to be in the Army. She did 8 years. And all my children are Mount Vernon school graduates. They all attended Mount Vernon schools, the public schools. That's Jasmine. Jasmine is the 3rd oldest. It's Lumi, Vanessa, and then Jasmine, and then Jonathan. Oh, yeah, I like that pic there, too. They're my twins, Timothy and Destiny. Yes, they're my twins there, Timothy and Destiny, who are currently at home with me now.
Okay.
They said temporarily, and that's Destiny there, and that's Lorraine. Lorraine and Destiny did their CNA and LPN, so they're in the health field, or at least started out there, which was great. When my husband took ill, and we brought him home for a hospice, so all the children were here, and Lorraine and Destiny. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to both of them again, because they were very helpful and instrumental in caring for him, until the Lord called him on home. But who am I? That's a trick question, because after the children, I used to say to young people, so what are your plans for life after high school? And I never said to the young people, so what college are you going to? Because, not everyone is going to go to college, and that's okay. Not everyone wants to go to college who have the ability to go, and that's okay. And so I used to tell people in the school district, counselors and teachers and so forth, pay attention to a young person when you ask them what college are they going to. Those who were not going would drop their head, drop their eyes. So I've learned early on to say, so what are your plans for life after high school? Well, I had to ask myself a question. So what are my plans for life after children? Because I was and still is, an involved, engaged parent to and my advocacy for children, because at the same time I'm telling you who I am, a strong advocate for children and families. To everything that I did was just wrapped up around children. I used to be a licensed group family child care provider. And my program was accredited by the National Association for Family Child Care. So an advocate for children and families in special education, the different levels of special education, early intervention, committee on preschool, special education, foster care, adoption, just children all around. So I had to ask myself, so what are your plans for life after children? And I didn't have an answer. And candidly, I still don't have an answer. I'm working on that. And then, as I said, my husband took ill, and then we'll say, okay, so what's life like after the death of a husband of 29 years, And I don't have an answer for that either. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm working those things out, and we don't have to have answers right then for everything. And, so then the children left, and empty nest syndrome. Right? Okay, so, the question, so what's life like, with that? But, I'm just me, just love the Lord, that's the center of my life. I find that when I'm grounded there spiritually, then all else is well in my life. All else is well. You know, that has to be the core and the centerpiece that holds me together and that has held our family together. You know, Mr. Crump was very spiritual man, as I was a spiritual woman. And our children were, as the scriptures say, train up a child in the way it should go, that when he get old, he won't depart from it. So, and that's what we did. And, you know, I find it sometimes difficult to talk about me. And I'm working on those things, you know, about taking care of me and learning how to talk about me, because it's always about the family, you know, about the children, which is important. Family is just so important. So I'm not sure how much of that question I've answered, but
well, let me I'll digress for a minute, because I think your husband, well, he's a twin.
Yes, identical twin.
Yeah, identical twin. And I remember when the both of them was connected to Minister Till, John Till.
Yes, Elder Till.
And used to have the church on the corner of 4th Avenue and 4th Street. Yeah. And I used to go over there to the church as a young guy. I heard them preach, and Minister Till preach and teach over there as well. So that's going way, you know, I'm probably telling my age, but it's going way back. So always remember them being delightful, strong men, you know, strong in the word, very spiritual men. And so I remember that. And, you know, but I got a question for you. You been in Mount Vernon, born in Mount Vernon? Where were you? Were you born in Mount Vernon, New York?
No, I wasn't born in Mount Vernon. I was born in, I'm a city girl. I was born in Harlem.
Okay.
I was born in Harlem Hospital, and we lived in the Bronx. And then we moved to North Carolina, Greensboro, the Winston, High Point, Charlotte area.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved back up here and tell my age, which I don't mind, because hey, all hands up to God to be still among the land of the living, breathing. So when I graduated from high school, my mother and I and my niece moved back up to New York, to Mount Vernon, and that was in 85. So I've been in Mount Vernon since 1985.
Right. And so, you know, and then the whole thing, man, I remember some of your kids, because I was at the Boys and Girls Club a long time. So some of the kids used to attend the Boys and Girls Club back in the day, I think. I remember your husband or them coming by, participating in some program there at the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, but I remember at Trap Hagen when my kids was at Trap Hagen, you had kids at Trap Hagen as well, right? And then as a mom, and we just speaking earlier, how important it is not only just to be parents, but to have a voice and be involved in your kids' education. And you definitely was an advocate and was there. You know, handling your business in regards to your kids and their education. And I want to applaud you on that, because you know, that's hard to find, because one of the main topics today and for a long time now is parental involvement, right? It's always a question every single year: how do we get parents involved? And you were definitely, you and your husband were definitely involved with the school district and with your kids' education. So talk a little bit about advocacy in regards to education, because you weren't just fighting for your kids, but you were fighting for all kids and their parents.
Yeah, that's true. And many of the battles that I fought dealt with all the children, and maybe not necessarily directly mine. And also, my children were taught, because I just wasn't on the front line. People who know me and remember those school board meetings, and my children there at the school board meetings, at that podium speaking, addressing the school board and the superintendent at that time about whatever issues that faced them in the Mount Vernon City School District, because I told them at the end of the day, it's not my education, it's not your father's, it's yours. And as an advocate and a teacher, because the parents are first line of defense of teaching for teachers for our children. And so, I say to my children, listen, these are lifelong skills that I'm teaching you now, how to advocate for yourself. And I'll share quickly my oldest daughter, Lumi, the one that was in the Army, and she brought back to me and she thanked me for those times at the board meetings. She thanked me for those times of telling them to advocate for themselves, because that was a skill, as I said, lifelong skills that they're going to carry on into adulthood with them, that they need to advocate for their own children. And when she was in the Army, being African American, being female, and facing some prejudice, and a person tried to interfere with her getting rank and becoming a sergeant. And so she was able to advocate, and she wrote me a nice letter while she was in there. And I still have this letter explaining and telling me how those days at the board meeting and the advocacy that she saw me do helped her in that fight. And so eventually, she overcame. She did well with that, because she did become a sergeant, Crump.
And so, I like that.
Sergeant Crump. And she, but then not only that, she shared with me that when she became in a position of power where she could then execute revenge, she did not. Because then the other part, the biblical piece, the spiritual piece, well, how she was brought up, kicked in also. And so then she did not when she had the opportunity to do so. But that was all about the advocacy skills. So we have to teach our children these skills. And so in our schools, in the advocacy, we have our PTAs, our PTSAs, and with my children, and it's not all about my children, but I'm only sharing my experience. That's what I can do.
That's right.
And so that S is for students. So a lot of times you find parents there, but we need to have our students teaching our children to be a part of their PTAs, because that's what it's all about. It's for them. And I like to say nothing about children, for children, without children. So they need to be there and they need to be involved. We need to teach them that and teach them those, those advocacy skills to stand up. And because there's no voice like the child voice. When you're standing at a podium or something and you're before legislators, when we used to go to Albany, and you're standing before a legislator, it's pretty hard for a legislator to take a red pen and strike through something when they have that mental image and picture in their head of that youth standing before them saying what their needs are and what they're lacking. And they hear that voice. Their voice, there's no voice stronger than that of the youth. So even in all the advocacy that I do or that I've done, there's no voice stronger than that of our youth.
Well, yeah, you make a strong point there, because when I was a young kid at the boys club, it was before it became Boys and Girls Club. Of course, my mom always had that Sunday where we had our Sunday outfits where you had to, put on your shoes and your slacks and your little white shirt and your tie. And the Boys and Girls Club gave us a Boys and Girls Club jacket that had the logo or emblem on that jacket. And we used to go represent the club and the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club. And we used to go speak on behalf of the Boys Club and why they should support. We used to talk about the programs we loved. We used to talk about the safe space of being at the Boys Club. And those things turned into resource that could be put back into the club, because it's easy for somebody working to say it, but it's different when a kid is saying, like you said, a kid got a very powerful, young people have a very powerful voice. And I think I said last week, man, revolution comes from young people. And I say it to young people all the time, when you get tired of something, things will change, because when you use your voice, things change. Right. And but sometimes they don't know their own voice. And you mentioned earlier when we were talking a little bit earlier, and I want you to talk a little bit more about that, about the number one, the importance of the school district, the importance of the parent, right? Talk about that, and then also you mentioned the responsibility of the student as well.
Well, yes, because our young people have more power than they realize, and more power than they know what to do with, and more than they exercise. So, meaning, for an example, I used to say to my children that, your father and I can take you to school every day, but you decide how much you learn or what you want to learn. Because when you go in the building, we watch you go in, and you can go into the classroom and just sit there and not do anything, just refuse to do anything and not learn. So they have that power and that control of what they learn, how much they learn, etc. And they don't realize that. Or when they, advocate for whatever they need in their school, or whatever it is that they don't have when they speak up. I'll say it again, at the end of the day, it's their education. It's not mine. It's not yours. It's not the teacher's. And as I used to say to them, it's not about your teacher liking you. It's about you learning and getting your education, because your teacher already has his or her education. This is about you getting yours and you taking some ownership, some accountability, some responsibility, and I'll just, dip in a little bit in our current situation, what's happening in our Mount Vernon City School District, with all the fights. People don't like to kind of hear me say this sometimes, and maybe sometimes I get in trouble, because as a part of this team, we have the parents, we have the school district administrators, the community, but we also have the young people. We have the children. And so they have to be accountable for their actions, good, bad, or indifference. Because when they're fighting in school, who's fighting? I'm not fighting as the parent. I'm not in school fighting. They are. But, we have to help them and give them the necessary supports and services that they need. So one of the things our young people need to be taught is problem solving, conflict resolution skills. I used to literally role play with my children. We set up the scenario, set up the scene of, if somebody approach you and they say this, or you approach me as one of your peers and say something, and show them how to get out of a situation if they can. And so you have to teach our young people that. And so those skills, that's something that needs to be taught, because, like I said, at the end of the day, they also have to be accountable for their actions. Because a lot of times we're quick to say that, it starts at home and it's about the parents. And I like for people to say some. We always must use the word some.
Yes.
Because we can raise our children up in biblical homes. We can be, and I know they used to call me Sergeant Crump in my home. We ran a tight ship in the Crump household. We did. Right. And the children will tell you that too. We ran a tight ship. But when my children get out, they're just like anybody else's child. I don't know what they're doing out there. Okay. So, and another important thing with parenting and children in our school system, early on, the elementary level, we have our parents involved, and they're engaged and they're there. But then as our children get older and they start moving to secondary level, our parents tend to pull back some, and they're not as involved, some of them, and they're not as engaged, because they feel, the children are older and they're groaning, they're grown and they're growing, and they don't need them around as much. No, that's when they need them more.
That's right.
Because of the influences and the peer pressure that's up there at the secondary level, and just from all different angles, influences are coming from you, are coming for the children. So that's when we need our parents more, and they tend to pull back as the children get to the secondary level. That's when they need to be there and be visible more. My children knew that, and you make relationships, the parents, make relationships with the staff in school. There is no big I and little you. The custodial had my number, secretaries had my number, principals, teachers, cafeteria, whomever had my number, had my husband and my number. And look, you see something, call us.
Right.
Let us know. And then we as parents have to be able to receive what we're hearing about our child. Because once again, when our children are not in our presence, we don't know what they're saying and what they're doing. We know what they're taught at home. But, and so you build that relationship. And I remember a couple of times, have had different staff call me and say, you know, one of my children, we were uniformed. Now we was pro uniform in our house, supporting this district with uniforms. They used to call my children the uniform kids. But we had the uniforms, and one of them decided they're gonna go to school and change up. You know, children do stuff like that. Phone ring, we get this phone. Well, Miss Crump, I know your children wear uniform, and so is here and doesn't have on a uniform and have on XYZ. Oh, really? Oh, really? So my husband and I was in a position where we could go up there at that moment. So we go up there and is the look, you know, really, you know, so those kind of things parents have to build that relationship with the staff because they are our eyes and ears.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there in the building. So they're our eyes and ears to let us know what is or what isn't happening and what's going on.
Yeah. I know for me, my mom used to, for me and my brothers, my mom would occasionally show up in the high school office. And I was thinking, Lowe's Moore, could you report to the front office? And I'm like thinking, you know, your mom is here, you know, your mother's here. And I'm thinking like, man, did I make up the bed? Did I clean up the room? Did I take out the garbage? I mean, what am I, you know, it was all the work. And I get down there and think, oh, you forgot your lunch money, you know. Oh, like I was thinking my brother is the same thing, right? Well, we didn't want mom to show up in there. So that's important. And then the other thing, you know, one of the things we used to do at the Boys and Girls Club, where you were talking about, you know, young people learning how to manage themselves. We used to do what we call, and Mr. Jones, I know you remember Mr. Jones.
Yes.
He used to do these training with the kids called verbal judo. You know, it's like how to use your words. Your words are powerful, right?
Yes.
And how to use your words to get out of different things and situations and stuff like that. And we used to role play with the kids at the club as well, like you did with your kids, and that's so important and very powerful. I hope, you know, remember this is interactive. So if there's any questions out there, I know you got some questions. I mean, just on the education piece alone, and I see the you know, that your children have been commenting down at the bottom.
Oh, really?
When you
Lord.
said, you know, when you said Sergeant Crump, somebody said yes. So yeah, so but we want to take a moment to kind of you know, shift and go into you just seen the little video that I showed a little bit earlier on Game Changers, and for you, how did it all happen? I mean, my wife showed a picture there recently, well, right here. I think you guys are there, you know, with all the fruit and stuff like that. You know, what happened? When did it start? When you started to think about this plant-based lifestyle?
Well, I have to contribute a good percentage of it to my oldest daughter.
Okay.
Lumi is plant-based. She has a vegan dietary intake. And so currently right now, and Lowe's didn't know by the design of the flyer, he has all fruits on it. So plant-based, obviously we know is more than just fruits.
Right.
But when Lowe's did the flyer and he showed it to me, I was like, wow, I laughed. I said, you don't know. I said, I'm actually in the middle of, we'll be starting and we'll be in the Fruit Feast, Orville Douglas Fruit Feast Challenge. So Orville Douglas is a fruitarian. And so we're talking about the Game Changer, and they have plants and nuts and beans and seeds, but Orville Douglas just does fruits. He's a fruitarian. And, you know, I should have got you a picture. We have to put up a picture of him, of just of the muscles and the cut and the definition that this guy has off of fruits. So that picture that you showed of the family there, my husband and my honey, and that's Lumi, and that's my youngest baby. So you have the youngest daughter and the oldest daughter there. That's Destiny. She's the youngest. She's the one that's the twin, and Timothy will tell her that he's the oldest. He was born first. So Destiny is my youngest, and Lumi is my oldest, and that's my honey. And so we were actually beginning a fruit challenge there. So we had our dining room table full of the fruits. and we were going to begin the challenge there. So that's what I'm in now. Generally, Orville does this fruit feast challenge every other month, starting with the month of January, where you eat nothing but fresh, sweet fruits, because it's very detoxing for the body, and it's provide a lot of nutrients and vitamins and everything. And you learn a lot, because sometimes we're like you said about eating to live or live to eating, and we just eat, and we don't sometimes know what food's doing for our body and what it provides. And the industry have us think in the food industry that when you say protein, you need your protein, what's automatically that you think about? Meat. And so, during the fruit challenge, I wasn't, you learn as you go. I wasn't aware, just eating, that protein is provided in fruits. A lot of fruits we eat have protein. So we eat a variety of foods, and that's how we get our protein. But doing the fruit challenge, so this one is 40 days. So there's a significance there, 40 days, 40 nights. Yeah,
that's right.
That's very significant in the Bible. And so this challenge is 40 days, 40 nights. So pray my strength, because I've done them, when it's like 30 days and 31 days. But it all started back with the fruit challenge. So Lumi used to do the fruit challenge, and she put up the pictures on her Facebook page. And this is when she was in England. She was in the army, and she was in England. And so I started with that, doing the fruit challenge. And if you can do the fruit challenge, you can do vegan. You can do a whole food plant-based, because with the fruit challenge, you're not having any meats. You're not having any milk and eggs and dairy and butter and all that stuff. So I would go a whole month without having any of that stuff, and I would just, doing it for health reasons, doing it for weight loss. It's a lifestyle, though. It's not necessarily a diet. Fruitarian is a lifestyle, but the benefits of it is just awesome. Your hair, your nails, your skin, your weight, is a given. If you're really serious about losing weight, you will definitely lose the pounds and lose inches. But at the same time, internally, what you're doing for your system. So you're just benefiting all the way around. That term win-win, you can't do anything but win with that. So, and then when Lumi was in England in the army in 2015, I went and spent the summer with her. And so I made a promise to her that while I was there, I would eat vegan. I would do vegan, because she was vegan. And so, I did that for the entire summer. So that was kind of like the start for me, the fruit challenge, and then going to England and being there in the summer with Lumi, and she preparing the meals and eating vegan. But then so that kind of got me started. But what actually did the full transition was my husband. So in 2017, the doctors at New York Presbyterian told my husband that he needed open heart surgery. And he said, no way. He said, I'm not letting them crack open my chest, was his words. He said, I'm not letting them crack open my chest. And my husband, he was on high blood pressure pills, cholesterol pills, the Daily Bear aspirin, a blood thinner, these medicines that he was on. And he had been on them maybe like since 2013. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm tired of this. He says, I don't want to live a life of medicines. He says, I'm not letting them crack open my chest. And now here's a man that when my daughter Lumi used to come home on her leave and want to make a vegan meal, he wouldn't even try it. Get away from him with vegan meals. He didn't even want to try it. So, but now, 2017, he said this. January of 2018, some people wean off. They stop with pork, they stop with beef, they move from the chicken, they do just fish. This man fast, prayed, and he took a leap of faith. This is what you sure enough call faith. January of 2018, he stopped all his meds. He didn't go to the doctor. It's not advisable, something that you advise somebody to do. But he just said, look, I don't want to live a life of medicines. He stopped all of his medicines. He stopped eating meat, fish, poultry, eggs, milk, cheese, butter. He did a fruit diet. And then he transitioned from there. And we went to Texas. because there are doctors out here, just like when you see in the Game Changer movie, there are doctors who don't believe in pulling out the prescription pad, as the first line of defense for illnesses. And so we went to Texas to Dr. Baxter Montgomery. And he's a renowned cardiologist, but he believes in the script of medicines, of foods when necessary. We went there, but in the short of it, my husband did not have to have the open heart surgery. He had a small procedure done in the groin area, left no scar or anything. He turned his diet around, and he no longer had to take his blood pressure pills, the cholesterol pills, a daily bear aspirin, or none of that. Now you have some doctors, his cardiologist here in New York, wanted to know, what did he do? And so he wanted my husband to continue to take the medicine. My husband was like, I said, no. He'd say he doesn't want to be on medicines. What can we do holistic? So we can eat. Every morning, my husband used to eat a raw garlic clove. And he made a bottle and said it was his pills for his blood pressure. And it brought his blood pressure down. So he was no longer on the medications. And so because he changed for his health, I changed because, I was the cook for the house.
Yes.
Separate meals. But then to support him, I changed my dietary intake. And so he and I both did whole food, plant-based, vegan dietary intake. And it all started with his health. And so I'm like in the mode of prevention because my mother has a diagnosis of Lewy body dementia. And we just don't realize how much food plays in the illnesses that we have. So my mother has this dementia. Her mother has it. And it's said to be in the medical profession that it's hereditary. But we can change our lifestyle. The word that you said, lifestyle. So I don't have to continue down the same track that they did, the same lifestyle. I changed my diet in reference to what I eat. I exercise, and not only, physical exercise, but exercise in the brain, because the brain is a muscle. So we have to exercise our brain, and so those are different things that I do to work in the mode of prevention. So my story isn't that, I was cured from this. My story actually is even greater because I prevented it.
Yes, right. Yeah. And I see that is that Dwayne. Dwayne Martin.
Dwayne Martin.
Yeah. He said, Brenda, you have been instrumental in the change in me changing the eating habits just from seeing the change in you. So yeah, definitely.
As you started out, we never know what kind of change, people are gonna from just seeing this show or just people who seeing my life. And that's something that, sometimes we don't need the experts and those with all the degrees and everything. People want to see real, live, tangible people. Somebody they know they can go out and touch, and they can actually see the transformation that's taking place with them.
Well, my kids have been trying, because Losie's vegan.
Yes.
Michelle,
yes.
Michelle as well. I think her husband's trying. He fluctuates, but he likes eating it. He likes eating vegan food. And, again, Rudy Hackett gave me a call, talked about the change in, look at Mike Hammett up there. And how plant-based helped, diet helped, and how the fruit-based helped and hindered the diabetic process. So it's a question for diabetics. How can a plant-based diet help? That's a question there.
And here's the thing, because that's the first thing that, and I'll put a link in the comment that deals with diabetics and fruits. Because the first thing people are told are, don't eat fruits, the sugar. But when we're eating and don't eat carbs because of the sugar, but those are the things, it's different types of sugar. So when you're eating fruits and versus like carbs that have to take its time and break down. If you're eating starches and it breaks down to carbs, it breaks down to sugar when starches are broken down. The sugars are already there in the fruit, and it's able to go directly to the cells, and the cells use whatever amount that it needs. Your body is smart. Our body is really smart, and our body knows what it needs and takes from the food that we eat and discards what it doesn't need. But I'll put a link in there in the comment section that talks more about diabetics and the fruit diet, or diabetics and a whole food plant base and carbs. But it's a myth of don't eat fruits because fruits are not good for if you're diabetic because of all the sugars. It's different types of sugars for the body. And there is Dr. Neil Barnard is a doctor to follow in the Physicians Health Committee that talks about that. Dr. Robert Morse talks about fruits and diabetics and the sugars and the lymph node system and all these different systems that we have in our bodies. So it's worth looking into, and sometimes and to break down the myths and get down to the facts of things.
Yeah, and let me say this is that my wife has been saying it to me, so she's over here in my ear like, I told him to, and all those different things, and so they've been trying to push me. So like I said, one man planteth, another man watereth, right? And then we got to give increase. And the Bible says God gives increase. Well, I believe that when you make a decision to do something, then God can increase you, right? And so this week was the first week that I started on a plant-based lifestyle. This week, I didn't have, I thought I was going to have some withdrawal and, wanted that cookie and, all those different things, but I haven't, because once you make your mind up, about something that you want to do, you can just, you could be disciplined and just go ahead and do it.
Right.
And so that's important. But But
Lowe's, here's the thing. When you mentioned about the cookie, and this is something that people don't realize, with a plant-based diet, okay, you can pretty much have all the same things that you had before, prior to. It's just a healthier version of it. Now, some people who are on the show and looking, now they've tasted my my cookies. I have, some vegan chocolate chip, walnut, cranberry cookies. Now, those who have tasted those cookies, put those hands up. You wouldn't even know. Those cookies are excellent, but they're healthy. It's just a healthier version. Whole food plant-based is just, I tell people, they say, oh, well, what do you eat? That's the first thing people ask, and we're still eating food, but I understand the question because the industry have us so where we think if we're not eating meat, if we're not eating dairy and cheese, then what do you eat? And if you keep it simple, I say, well, when you make mashed potatoes, what do? They say, oh, well, I put some butter in there and I put some milk. I said, okay, then you just swap out the ingredients. That's all. Instead of using animal-based milk, you use a plant-based milk. Use almond milk. Instead of using animal dairy byproduct of the butter, you use a vegan butter. And you don't even have to use a vegan butter. You can put avocado on there. But avocado on a potato is good. It's just a matter of swapping out ingredients. That's all it is. You're still eating the same thing. People want the traditional American dishes of the mac and cheese, the collard greens, the cornbread, and the candy yams. You can still have all of that, but in a healthier version of it, which will extend your life.
Well, you dropping some dimes here tonight, and I like that. And it seems like I got Conroy Jackson on here. He's gonna pop on, and Conroy.
How's it going, man? How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing well, just here, living life.
That's right. So you know a little bit about this plant-based lifestyle?
Just a little bit. I will say this: I've been a full vegan, raw vegan for about 6 years now, and my journey all started years ago, before I even knew that I was on this path. Just by cutting out, a few simple things like beef and pork. And shortly after that, my transition just became more intense until I became a full vegan. And here I am now, 6 years without eating any meat, any animal products, and feeling healthy, strong, ton of energy, and it's been working for me so far.
Yeah. So you and Brenda's on the same page.
Yeah, so I just chimed in shortly, not too long ago, and I just heard a short smitten of what she was saying, but she's definitely on point with everything that she's saying.
Awesome. Yeah. And what do you do, Conroy?
I'm a firefighter.
Okay, so you there with my son-in-law, Dakari.
Yes, I am. So, fighting fires is a very intense job. It's physically demanding. And when I tell people that I am a vegan and I am a firefighter, they're pretty surprised, because the traditional outlook of a firefighter, you're eating these rich foods while you're in the firehouse, and you're working out, while you're on shift, and when you have the moment to, and you're big and buff. And I break those stereotypes. I'm a slim and what I call myself, the Bruce Lee physique.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's go ahead.
Now I remember, Conroy. Yeah, your son Seth.
Yes.
Yeah, Seth used to be at the house all the time, and everybody was like, "Oh, Seth, Seth don't eat this. Seth don't eat that. Seth, he's a little guy, right? And so you got him on the street now right away, right? And so there's another seed for me, or water, right? Mm-hmm. So Seth was another watering of a seed from a long time ago that I arrived at this point.
Yes. So part of my journey came about when Seth was conceived. And, I just took an assessment and looked around my environment, and I seen that a lot of these young children, they were getting these diseases, such as asthma. They had heart conditions, they had diabetes, things of that nature. And I didn't want to bring my son up in that same type of environment. So I made the conscious decision, along with his mom, to go on a plant-based diet. And the only way that I knew that he would adhere to it was if I lived it. And so we converted as a couple and started to bring him up in that plant-based diet, eating real foods.
Yeah, I think we got a question here. It says, talk about the things in the ground and why you don't eat them.
Okay, well, this philosophy came from a friend of mine that helped me on this journey, helped me to get on this road. And his philosophy was basically that whatever microbes are in the soil, that any plant that's grown in the soil, such as carrots, yams, and potatoes, they take on these microbes. And his philosophy was to make the body as efficiently possible when it comes to breaking down foods. So when you eat things such as apples and you ingest the skin, and you eat seeds such as peanuts and cashews and things of that nature, the body needs other microbes to break down those parts of these foods that we eat that the body naturally cannot break down, along with these microbes that do, take part in these plants such as carrots and potatoes that the body just cannot break down by itself. So his philosophy, I kind of adapted, and I cut those foods out of my diet, where I don't eat carrots, I don't eat potatoes, yams, anything grown in the ground, just to make my body a little bit more efficient when it comes to digesting and removing foods. There was a saying, there was a story that I read. It was an actor or a singer, I forget who it was, but they said when he died and they did an autopsy, he had about 25 to 30 pounds of undigested foods within his intestines, in his colon. And that came from the body now, being so delayed and backed up, where people become constipated and the food doesn't naturally process through, in the sense like a newborn child. You feed a child, breast milk or whatever type of food, and they go to the bathroom almost right away. So with that outlook, I kind of try to get my body on that perspective where what I eat, my body takes the nutrients that's needed from those foods, and it digests whatever else it doesn't need to make it efficiently, workable. So
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, I thank you, man, for Comrade for popping on, man. I apologize for not remembering, because we met a few times.
Yes, we have.
A few times, and of course, I know your wonderful son and your wife, man. You guys are just the best, man. So thank you for popping on, man, and I hope that what you said, people will be able to, that's again, it's a seed,
yes,
right, that has to continually to be watered. And so I want to thank you for popping on, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. No problem. So, Brenda, yeah, we back to you.
Okay. So, like I don't know if I had said that when two of my children, which my grown daughters now, children anymore, came down with COVID, and so in our house, the third floor is a full apartment, so we were able to quarantine them off from the rest of the family. And so the first one, when she came down with COVID, and it was in the early stage of when COVID was first coming out, she worked in the nursing home in New Rochelle. And so we quarantined her on the third floor. The first thing we did was change the diet, detox the body, all the toxins from all the additives, the preservatives, the sugars, the dyes, the colors, the meats. And so she knows she had a trashy diet. She just like ate fast food all the time, all the oils and the grease and everything. And so first thing, put her up there on the third floor to quarantine was fruits. Gave her a straight fruit diet. Homegirl, when she came out of there, she was looking great. She had lost weight. Her skin had cleared up. Her hair and everything. She was just talking about because she had, acne problems. When she came out, she was looking beautiful, and she know that herself. Now, did she keep her diet? That's another story. Did she? But she tried to hold on to it for a while. But I was giving her fresh fruits, fresh juices, because when I make my juices, I generally don't buy juices in the store. If I do, I buy certain brands where it's just 100% juice, no additive, no acids, no sugars, nothing like that added to it. But I was making her juices, and so when the next one came down, got COVID, and about sometime last month she had it, and she says, Mommy, I want to come home, because she wasn't at home, so she came home, went up on the third floor. Put it right out. I mean, the fruits, because you're detoxing the body. So you're getting rid of all the toxins and stuff. You are also at the same time building your immune system. So to be able to fight off the COVID, fight off any virus, any disease. And so the same thing with her. That's what we did. And so thank God, both of them made it through COVID. And while they were up there, we also did nasal steaming, taking the citrus, the fruits, the skin from the fruits and the onions and the salt and everything, and putting it together. And they did a nasal steaming every day, because they say the COVID is up in here in moist areas. But I just can't express enough about how much all of ours, because I don't know how doctors come up with these different names for the diseases, the illnesses that we have, but basically what it all boils down to are our cells, unhealthy cells. So they name it, whether it be cancer, and people automatically go and get chemo treatment as their first line of defense. And sometimes it depends on how far gone you are and what your commitment is, and how the sacrifice that you want to make. But the first line of defense is chemo. And sometimes the first line of defense should not be chemo. It should be changing of the diet. Because when you do chemo goes in and it kills cells. It does not know good cells from bad cells. It goes in and it kills cells. But when you go in and you change your diet, then you rebuilding and renewing and strengthening cells. as the old ones, die off, then the other ones are getting stronger, and you're rebuilding and replenishing your cells. It's just people have to try it. You have to try it to see it. The same thing with my mom. When I went down and got my mom in 2019, I tell people, with my husband and my mom is the two most important people in the world to me, both dying. They were just dying two different kinds of death. My mom with this Lewy body dementia, this is a merciless, disease. Just take your mind and thought and everything in your brain. But when she came, kind of similar to my husband on the high blood pressure, the cholesterol, the daily bear aspirin. She was on some medicine for her stomach, just a boatload of medicines. Brought her up here. And one other thing my mother did, she chewed tobacco, from the South. And she sucked about knee high. She could chew tobacco. She's been chewing, but I weaned her off of all that stuff. My mom is on a whole food plant-based diet. She's 74 years old. And with the exception of the Lewy body dementia, she's physically fit. She's physically healthy. No medications now. She's on no meds. She has no medical illnesses, blood pressure, cholesterol, stomach problems. All that stuff is out the window. Everything is down. Everything is good. And I contribute that to her diet. I even contribute with, her the dementia. Had we known and started earlier, she probably wouldn't even be where she is with that. But definitely has slowed down the progression of it, her diet.
Great. Yeah. And I want to show one more video, and then we're going to, and then we'll finish. We're in the show with you guys. And I think it says it takes 12 years to replace brain cells. It takes 12 years to replace all your brain cells. The brain takes the longest to be replaced. Yeah, but I don't want to get into the spiritual side of this in regards to the supernatural lifestyle. I'm gonna save that for another day, because God's about to do some stuff, some supernatural stuff on this spirit, this mind, this body. But I want to show this next video, and then I want to get your comments on it at the end of it.
I am Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, and I'm really joined by the true heroes and sheroes. I went to the doctor. He stated, Eric, your diabetes at a dangerous level. We got to put you on insulin right away. I had nerve damage in my hands and feet. I lost a lot of my feeling on my right thigh from nerve damage. And during that same time, I was losing sight in my left eye, and the right eye was going out also. And so little did I know that all of those symptoms were indicators that the diabetes had reached a very dangerous level. I don't think anything is more frightening than waking up and you could no longer see the alarm clock. I started out my public service career as a member of the New York City Police Department. I think I had probably the typical police/politician diet. And I love to always end the rumor right away that says cops love donuts. That is not a rumor, it's a fact. I ate all types of donuts, from jelly to cream to glaze. I always exercised, but my diet was horrendous. On the move, as an elected official, as a police officer, I did steady midnight, so it was difficult to find things that were open late at night. So whatever I can get, I would grab and, just munch on, bad food habits. What was amazing is that not one doctor that I visited said anything about nutrition and food. Forks Over Knives plan was just so helpful when I read the entire book, and I needed that plan. Cleaning out my cupboards, what to remove, looking at the list of things that you can eat, understanding the power of foods and what they do. And all of that information just made me so smart. In 3 weeks, my eyesight cleared up when I changed my diet. In 3 months, all the nerve damage was gone, the ulcer was gone, all of those symptoms that I had associated with my diabetes disappeared.
How old are you again?
57.
And you have the kidney function of a 30-year-old. Your sugars look good. They're normal. Your 3-month sugar, your A1C, has gone from 17 to 5.7. And that's now with no medication. Your inflammation is non-existent. And inflammation is a key factor also in diabetes and the risk for heart attack.
In the past, my entire meal was built around my life. Now my life is built around my meal. I chop up my kale, my carrots, my other items that I'm going to use, and I leave them in bags in the fridge. And so when it's time for me to make a meal, I just take a handful of each and put it all together. 90% of the things that I eat is because I cook. I'm in control of what I eat, and no one else is in control of that. It's so important for me to keep my energy levels up. Early today, I had a protest with private housing, that people were being left out. Then I had a meeting in public housing where some public residents was having problems. Then I have my staff meeting with my team and keep them abreast. I have a public event tonight with those who want to look at vegan/plant-based lifestyle. I have 2 dinners that I have to attend to actually entertain my Chinese guests that came from out of the country. So if my energy level is not up, I'm not able to deal with the issues that people are having and continue to build those international bridges that I look to do. We can save more lives with plant-based diet if people will only realize they are enslaved to fats, oil, sugar, and things that are killing their body.
And we're going to make sure that we allow our children to have healthy food. It's not a motto, it's a reality. We're going to raise healthy children and families in the borough of Brooklyn and in the city of New York.
When you have a chronic disease, it cripples your entire family. And if I could teach families how not to go through that and just experience life where their family members are not experiencing Alzheimer's, where grandparents can't identify their grandkids, and families are going through chemotherapy, and mothers are dealing with asthma. If I can do that, if I can change that, that is the end of the chapter. And I mean, I had a great life.
Wow. So, Brenda?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I didn't know if I had muted myself or not.
All right. Well, we got some questions here. It says, Brenda Crump, can you post the information, because I have a lady. Was it tapping on the floor of 70, on the door of 70, and my body has pushed me to change my eating habits. I am going to the gym and I am getting in a good workout. I take my blood pressure medicine for high cholesterol meds, and I am coming off, and I want to come off, and I would like some of your help.
Okay, sure. What I do, because right now I'm not too good with the multitasking, so I will take the time to go back over the video, go back over the questions, and put some links in directly in the in the feed and to people's questions or comments. But in regards to the video, yes, he's right. And Mike Hammond made a comment there about the doctors. They don't make money off of well people. Listen to that again. Doctors do not make money off of well people. And so one thing I like about, and I'll put some of the doctors' names that I follow, like Esselstyn and Campbell, with the forks over knives, because these are doctors who are telling the truth. And they're saying, look, when I was in school, I didn't get nutrition education. They maybe gave us 20 minutes of nutrition. And they changed. But with the video, Eric Adams, he's absolutely right. The changing his diet as he saw, that's evident. And I don't know, whatever the doctors say, they want to be quick to prescribe pills. And my primary physician, he knows right away that I do not like medicines. So he doesn't even go in that direction of providing, of telling me about any medicines. Always want to give me something that's holistic, something that's natural if I need anything. But I'm healthy. I have no illnesses. I'm on no medications, nothing like that. But the video, Eric Adams is absolutely right. And I like how he talks about, I don't know if he talked about it in that segment, but I've seen some of his videos and I've shared them with the school district, because with the law that he helped get passed in reference to in New York City, removing all processed foods from the schools. So it's an excellent video. And once again, we go back to the everyday person that I said earlier that people like to see. And he's one of the everyday people that people see and people know. And when he said what he has done and how it has changed his health, that's what people want to see. They want us everyday layman people.
Well, I'm going to say this too. And we're going to put back up, once I finish saying this, I'm going to put back up the book of the week in a second here. And I just flashed in my mind, and it was the only one time I was in college, West Virginia University, and I took a class, nutrition. Right, I took a nutrition class, and the reason why I liked that class because it was in my dorm, right? And so you get out the bed and walk straight downstairs, and it was like 200 people in this class. You don't know who's in the class. I'm like, man, half sleep, But the thing I remember about that nutrition class, and you're absolutely right. The thing I remember most about, because he talked about all the, the hunger in other countries and malnutrition in other countries and all those things like that, and poverty. But the one thing I remember was that I think they said a doctor had like 5 hours of study of nutrition, right? They took 5 hours of classes of nutrition, and all the rest of it was, what kind of medication, surgery, all that kind of stuff like that. So that flashed in my head. So you could see those seeds being watered, right? That I wasn't picking up on them, right? But you're absolutely right when it comes to, and I remember an old doctor, he retired right after I became his patient. He said, look, man, you got to cut out the oils, the salt, all that kind of stuff like that. He said, it's in the oils, or it's all in the oils and different things like that, man. That stuff is going to kill you, And after about 3 weeks later, I get a call from him saying he was retiring, and because he would talk to me about foods, right? When no doctor talks to you about food, they just keep upping you when they want to up medication and all kinds of stuff. But we're going to show this book, but there's a book. I mean, Damon Jones has a new book out, but I want to show that book because the mayor mentions it. Mayor of New York mentions it. That's a book right there. And I'm sure there's plenty other books, but the Fork Over Knives.
Forks Over Knives. They have a Facebook page. They have a food plan. Make it easy. If I may say something quickly about oils. People want to tell us that there are healthy oils. At the end of the day, I like to keep stuff layman and simple. Whether it's olive oil, coconut oil, it's an extraction and a breakdown. So you're taking away all the nutrients, everything. You throw away the olive and you keep the oil. At the end of the day, I like to do like a pipe. So here's the pipe. If I can get my hand right, there we go, the pipe. And so any oils, at the end of the day, you keep putting the oil in the pipe, it's going to close, it gets clogged. So even if it's olive oil, because like the Forks Over Knives, they go do the no SOS, salt, oils, sugars. And because at the end of the day, the oils, whether it's olive oil or coconut oil, is still an oil and it has no nutritional value. All the nutrients and everything has been taken out of it to break it down to the oil, and it clogs the arteries. So that's what I'm moving towards. I'm moving towards eliminating the salts, the oils, and sugars. And when we say sugars, we're talking about, you know, the like the white table sugar, using healthy substitutes like maple syrup, 100%. You know, the maple syrup, dates, those kind of things. Trying to coconut palm sugar to take the place of white table sugar.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have to. Treese, you got anything before we get off? We passed a little bit past our time here, but you know, let's see. That's Nicole, an emergency medicine doctor. I know said his daughter is 19 years old, and he has never given her any antibiotics, and he has always food healed her with food. He has always healed her with food. So he given no antibiotics and always healed her with food. Thanks, Nicole.
Well, I think, Lowe's, this has been, Brenda, this has been an absolutely amazing discussion today. It needs to be, we need to actually have a follow-up show, I would think, because the information was so phenomenal. One of the things that I heard you mentioning is about eating, but what about exercise? You know, I didn't really hear discussion about the impact of the diet. And the one thing about the game changers, and we didn't get a chance to really show the impact, but one of the things I noticed is how extremely lean and fit the athletes were when competing. And I just wanted to get an idea of how do you feel that the changing in the lifestyle of eating impacts the exercise?
Oh, well, it gives you more energy, and the exercise is a part of the lifestyle change, and that's why it's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. It's not a fad. It's not a fashion. It's not just about the foods, but it's a combination of all of it. Just like with the food, people say, "Oh, well, what should I eat to get rid of for diabetes, or what should I eat for cancer, or what should I eat?" There aren't one specific food. It's a combination of the foods to prevent, to reverse any illnesses. Exercising is definitely a part of the lifestyle. So you can eat well, but if you're not exercising the physical body, the muscles, then you can still run into some challenges and problems. And the heart, when you exercise, like a brisk walk. For those who, people think when you say exercise, you think about jumping up and down like how Patrice used to have us doing. You know, we're just working us really hard. That's really good. But sometimes for those who cannot do that, a brisk walk, if you can walk. Or like your son, Isaiah, he's such an inspiration. Him being in the wheelchair, but yet he gets the physical exercise, the upper body, because you still motivate, you still pumping the heart, getting the heart going. So exercising is one of the things that will help you with be preventive of illnesses. So exercising is very important, and not only exercising, but mental health. Also, I do grounding. I do physical exercise, and I do what's called earthing grounding. I take my shoes off and my socks, and I walk around on my ground, my grass, the yard, because of the electricity and the electrons that's in the earth. And so you deal with your mental health, as Damon has in his book about Epsom salt baths. You know, you have to do different things in meditating to work with the mind, as well as eating and the physical exercise. So it's all a whole combination, and physical exercising is important. We have to do some form of exercise. Like I say, even if it's just walking, that's still exercising. You don't have to be, you know, at a gym and jumping around, and so many things we can do in our home, but we don't even have to spend money at a gym.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I tell my mom, I mean, you know, when she's at the house, I said, you know, you can't sit there all day. Bodies are not made to sit. They're made to be active. So just every hour, just routine. If you're looking at television, commercial comes on, or you look at the clock, you say, okay, it's 9 o'clock. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. Get up, walk around the kitchen, come back. Right? You just got to be active. You got to always be active. I mean, if I'm at a basketball game and call timeout, I stand up, stretch, bend over, because as you get older, you get started seeing more stiffness and different things like that. But the more active you are, right, the less you feel those things.
I also see the question. I thought this is really important. Charles, Pastor Clayton put in that he was a diabetic, and it's easy to eat wrong because fast food is all that surrounds the Black community. I mean, this is like a whole nother show, right? But the types of food that are in our communities does not really push healthy eating, healthy living, healthy dieting, healthy lifestyle. I think it would be really great to be able to really, figure out a way for our communities to really push for healthy eating. And so I think this is a real critical point for us. So the more that we become aware of this as a community, I think the more the foods would become available to us. And so this is really great. I mean, you can see the amount of activity that we're getting in our questions has been absolutely amazing. Because I think it's really important. So I just want to say, thought that was an excellent point, Pastor Clayton.
So,
yeah. And if I may put a plug in for, our Mayor Sean Patterson Howard in the city with the Dole Center, giving out fresh produce every other Friday. We can probably put the schedule, in the link, but every other Friday, because people say, eating healthy is expensive. It's only expensive if you buy a lot of the junk food, or either the, like the Beyond sausages and the meats. If you buy that kind of stuff, then it gets pricey. Or if you're buying organic, I tell people, look, it's about good, better, best. You can buy frozen. You don't always have to buy organic. If you can afford organic vegetables, fruits and vegetables, then you buy it. But if not, it's still better than canned. If you get frozen, if you get fresh, but it's not organic, it's still better. We have Ken Bright, 47 South 5th Avenue. We can, put his flyer up that gives out fresh produce, fresh vegetables. And then he has something that meets everybody's dietary need, because while I'm doing this fruit challenge, I said, you know what? I'm going to do this fruit challenge, but I'm going to do it on our grab and go, our local food pantries in our community. And so I go there. I can put a post up of all the stuff that I get: fresh raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, pineapples, apples, kiwi.
I've had a lot of your juices as a result of that.
And I want to say thank you, because last week, I think it was, you provided dinner for Patrice and I, a vegan dinner for Patrice and I. It was awesome. I was like, boy, when I heated it up and started eating, man, I didn't even stop till I finished. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, you're very welcome, Patrice. No, I'm always in a gentle, loving way. Nudging.
Yes. Listen, Brenda, I remember one time Brenda ended up having to go to the hospital, and she hadn't eaten anything all day. She was with her mom. And I said, I need to find something for you to eat. And I went searching, but I didn't. Then I ended up making you something, right? And I made her something and brought it to her, made sure she was taken care of. So yeah, it can be done. And I brought that issue up about the communities, because the other thing is, we say that the fruit is expensive, but Dunkin' Donuts coffee is expensive, right? Donuts are expensive. Fast food is expensive. It's just where what does it said? Where your heart is, your treasure is also, right? And so if you put, your heart towards this and you put your treasure towards it, it'll change your heart, right? So if you put your heart towards this lifestyle and your treasure towards this lifestyle will change your heart.
Yeah. And it's just about keeping it simple. Don't try to, cook extravagant meals. Soup, the 4 S's, the clothesline that I said: soup, salad, steamed vegetables, starches. Keep it simple. Just go with stuff that you already eat, stuff that you already like, and you're just swapping out ingredients, If you have oatmeal in the morning, oatmeal and some fruit. If you make your oatmeal with milk, just do it with a plant-based milk or do it with water.
Yeah, I've been starting to drink oat milk these days. And I mean, I've done almond for a while, but Taylor Palmer, who used to play for me, Taylor Lucas now, I saw her put up something about oat milk. And I was like, oat milk, what is that? And I looked it up, and then my daughter was drinking oat milk. And so I started to buy oat milk. And so now I do, some good stuff now. With the oat milk, and so I'll do like Raisin Bran or something, and I'll just let me get some oat milk in there instead. So it's been a real nice journey. Lowe's and I have been 1 week completely meat free. 1 week, and it's been it's been a journey for 1 week. But once he decided that we were going to do this, we decided, and we've been working it, and it's been it's been a little bit of a transition, but, you've been encouraging us along the way. And so when he said he was going to do the show, I was really excited. And, the good part about doing this show is that we're in control of it. So used to be that they would click us off at 8:30, but I'm running things. So if we need to go a little bit longer because of how good it is, then that's what we're going to do. Yeah. But this has been an extremely informative and, HR, yes, that's the bishop. Great information. This helps a lot. Thanks, Brenda. So there are a lot of people that have been on this show today, and it's been really healthy information for me. And I'm excited about what's next. So I'm sure we'll get you back again. But, Lowe's, as usual, you did a great job today.
So
yes, thank you for having me. Thank you,
Brenda. I told you it would be fun.
Yeah, it was. I'm a background person. I'm the background.
Right. Well, you just came to the forefront.
Oh.
There's a lot of people. Please make sure you do put your link in, because in the comments, because a lot of people did ask for it. I did post up one of the a flyer. No, the Wednesday eating that we do is through JL Richardson does on Wednesdays. She does kind of like a restaurant that she does only on Wednesdays called Sneak Eats, and she sends it out. And I know that she's getting overwhelmed with all the business that she gets, but I started bringing things home to Lowe's on Wednesdays, and he would look at me and turn his face up. I'm not eating that. He'd growl and bark at us, and now he's like, so what's JL got on the menu on Wednesdays? So I mean, it's good because once you find it, so when this link comes up, hopefully if people out there have restaurants or have food establishments, put it in the link, because this is going to be shown. This is going to stay on. This is going to show over and over again. You can go to Lowe's More, the Blueprint, and pick it up and look at it again and show it to somebody else. And then hopefully we can pick up other restaurants that people have, so that we can, those of us who are making this transition have good, healthy food. And yes, I think my Aunt Nikki said, grow your own food. And so that's my next thing. Grow your own food.
So Brenda, thank you. You can see how excited my wife is over there.
Look at HR.
Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate you. I knew it was going to be an awesome show. You were amazing.
Thank you.
Keep up the advocacy. Keep spreading the word in regards to plant-based lifestyle. And thanks again. We got to do this again. We're going to do it again. We just got to figure out the schedule, do it again, and tell all the kids I said hello.
I will. All right.
All right.
Everybody have a good night.
You too. And so thank you everyone for your support tonight. Hope this was very informative to you. Hey, it's never too late to change a lifestyle, and you're never too old to learn and grow, and you're never too young to learn and grow. So again, thanks again for your support of the Blueprint. Love you guys. Have a wonderful and blessed week. And I look forward to seeing you next week on the Blueprint.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the BluePrint podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant time.